guys. Life of a reef keeper. Begin. Here we go again. How's it going, guys? This is, I think, 3 weeks in a row. So that's great for me, guys. I want to just say thanks. You guys helped me to get a little more motivated to at least do one a week. So I liked what we did last week. We'll do the question and answer format and focus on a few topics. So if you want a question answered, leave it in the comments below. And each week I'll probably pick 5 or 6 that we can answer and kind of zero in on one large topic. Let's just touch on this whole idea of going larger. It was kind of a mixed bag. Some people said, you know, they want to go bigger. Some people said they already are bigger. And what I got from the overall comments in the comments section is those of us who can spend the time doing quality maintenance, have the money, and really are in it for the long run, like will not give up and get lazy, those people, larger aquariums is great. And when I say larger, like somebody made a comment like 75 isn't really larger, but compared to 10, it's a big difference. And it's a difference in water change and, you know, like we said in the last video, salt, lighting, all that is more money. So that's what I found out from viewers like you guys, that time, money, and maintenance is the key. Time, money, and maintenance. The Lusk Barada asks, does the 10-gallon have a dosing regime or just rely on water change? Now, you guys that have followed me a long time know I'm a big fan of kalkwasser. So yes, it has a dosing regime in regards to kalkwasser in my ATO. And I've kind of zeroed in, dialed it in on about a half to sometimes a quarter teaspoon per gallon in a 3 to 4 gallon container down there. So when the water evaporates, it trickles in nice and slow, so it works out well that way. Kalkwasser. All right, let's let the elephant out of the closet. My Aiptasia, my Aiptasia, my Aiptasia. All right, I know they're growing all over the place and they're gigantic. So I'm just not ready to get Bergia yet. I need a few more funds, guys. Like I said before, Bergia are expensive and I'm gonna need the large ones. Somebody also asked, Aiptasia larger than my dreams, laughing my ass off. So yeah, they are quite funny. They're gigantic in there. And I will have to get rid of them. I did a video some time ago on getting rid of them with Bergia, and it worked out really well. They eliminated them completely in about 2 or 3 weeks. They were smaller, but with Aiptasia, they're always going to come back, guys. If you have 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 and get rid of them, no matter what. Sometimes it takes months. It was months for these to finally come back, but the spores are in there. Even if they get eaten, you know, they're just always going to be there if they're in your tank, if you bring them in. Okay? Coral Reef Joe says, hey Tom, how long have you had your mandarin goby, and is it captive bred? He goes along with other stuff, but let's stick on that. In my opinion, must be captive bred. If you get a live caught one, chances are it will never take to eating. Now, some people say differently, and that's okay. What I would say is get a captive bred mandarin fish. I got mine from Biota Marine. They're reasonably priced, and they come eating SA, that's Sustainable Aquatics, slow sinking pellets. When the mandarins come, they're really small. They're maybe an inch long. So you require the smallest millimeter. I think it was like a 0.1 millimeter slow sinking pellet. It's a breeder's choice, something like that. And you just use the turkey baster when you first get it, and you squeeze a little out in the area that they're in, and they peck right at it. And then depending on the size of your tank, when mine was in the 75, I never fed it that way at all. I never fed it at all, and the belly got large and there was plenty of pods in there. But in the 10-gallon, I'm feeding it 3 days a week. And that's with the clowns too. They get that food as well as the anemones. Toddmar 1400. He says, what about planning coral placement as building a reef? So that's a great question. That could be a whole video in itself, but let's keep it short. What I would recommend for you guys, and I know a lot of people are doing this now. When I first started doing my videos, a lot of people weren't. ChatGPT is amazing, guys. I've been using it a lot. You take a picture of the coral and it'll find everything you need to know about it, and you can keep asking questions to the app. So what I would say with the corals is do the research. You know, there's some corals that will not grow along or next to other corals. So for example, the sweeper tentacles in my 10-gallon of the hammer coral, you can see mine in there. The areas where it can be touched, the leather coral does not extend out. For a long time it wasn't even exposed to the light, and now that I've moved the Ophelia around and I've rearrange things, it's starting to show up in the light more. So I'm going to have to see whether they will. But the bottom line is research the coral, ask questions here, and find out what it will grow next to, what it won't. Does it sting? Is it toxic? So all those kinds of things. All right? Reef keeping. Reef keeping said no to Phosguard, that it will release aluminum into the water, and I did my research. I went out on SeaChem and they've done tests and data and everything, and when you test Phosguard in the normal range of pH between 8 and 8.3, there's no soluble aluminum detectable in the water when you do an ICP test. However, if you are in the range of 3 pH, they did it real low, and they also did 3 times the dose of the Phosguard, and there was a detectable amount, but that's not what I'm using in there, and that might lead us into another topic, which would be experience is the best test, guys. I mean, yeah, trial and error, you may lose stuff, or you're taking the long way around, but sometimes that has to be done. Like, I had no clue that Phosguard could possibly do that, so I did the research myself, and I found that no, it's fine, and everything looks great in the tank. It's been in there almost a month now. All right, so that can lead us into products. That was our title. Which products should we use? And I've been doing this, guys, for 35 years now. So obviously the products have changed. I'm also old school. So for example, ChemiPure was around 35 years ago, maybe even more, the activated carbon. So when I first started reef keeping, I didn't even know about GFO or things that reduce phosphate. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know what the phosphate levels were. Sometimes we dive in, and I did. I dove in, saltwater fish first, and then I started with the corals. But as I progressed, I started to research and read and ask a lot of questions and all that kind of stuff. So it's hit or miss with products. A lot of viewers ask me about certain products, and I just don't use them. I'm very simple. I'll use activated carbon, I'll use GFO, and I've used lanthanum chloride at times to reduce my phosphate. But I really haven't used any other. Oh, I used the flux one time to eliminate fluconazole. You're going to get a lot of different varying opinions on products, lights, everything. So my lights, I've had Kessel A80 and AI Prime. Those have been great lights for me. They've been growing stuff really great. So I didn't want the video to be bad-mouthing what products I use or which ones are not good or which ones haven't worked for me. There's a lot that have worked for you. So leave that in the comment, because that'll help other viewers. If you had great success with something, a certain product, anything, leave it in the comment, and then we can discuss it next time. Maybe somebody will disagree. The best product is you and your experience sometimes. All right? All right, guys. All right, guys, that should do it. All right, guys, that should do it. Have a great weekend. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Things are looking up. Take care now.